Welcome learners and viewers of the MEVE 001 Environmental Impact Assessment for Environmental Health. I introduce myself as Dr. Sushmita Bhaskar, working in the discipline of Environmental Studies at the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Today we will discuss about the environmental siting guidelines for the industries. After listening to and reading this module, you will be able to describe the environmental siting guidelines for the various industries. Now we have already learnt about the environmental impact assessment. We have also discussed a few of the case studies which are important, for example the river valley projects or the mining projects, and why the impact assessment forms a very important topic, and why the environmental management plan is also important, because we need to protect ourselves from the impacts of the harmful harmful impacts from these projects of the industries, etc. And the guidelines have been set up by the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change for siting of the industries. In the same as other projects, the same way for the industries also, we have a specific set of guidelines. So industrial development, significantly it contributes towards economic growth, and you will see that there is a rush for employment also. It comes to the where people come from the rural to the urban areas, and however this industrial progress, this brings along with it a host of environmental problems as well. So most of these problems, they can be avoided if the industries are located on the basis of environmental consideration. In judicious siting of the industry, this can seriously affect the environmental features, for example the air, the water, the land, the quality can be affected. In the same way the flora and the fauna can be affected, the biodiversity can be affected, the human settlements and the health of the people can also be affected. Now therefore the entrepreneur should be made aware of these implications, and he should take the necessary steps before setting up the industry so as to minimize the possible adverse effects on the environmental resources and the quality of life. So often they find it very costly to install the pollution control equipment and other mitigative or preventive measures after the control, after for example the industry is set up. But as such, the preventive steps are needed at the time of siting rather than going for this at a later stage or after the industry has been constructed. The industry policy statement, this recognizes the need for preserving the ecological balance and improving the living conditions in the urban centers of the country. On the basis of this policy, indiscriminate expansion of the existing industries and setting up of new industrial undertakings within the limits of the metropolitan cities and the larger towns should not be permitted. But such policies have not touched upon the implication of these industry in setting up these industries in sensitive areas, both ecological and otherwise. That will have an effect on the overall developmental process. Now at present the industries are being located on the basis of where the raw material is available and the access to the market, the transport facilities, then other economic considerations, without adequate the attention being given to the environmental considerations, or these are not recognized as very important criteria for setting up of an industry. But of course the location near as I cited, the location near to where the raw material is got, or near to a port, to an airport and so on, they are the primary considerations that are always being given. So to prevent the air, water and the soil pollution arising out of these industrial projects, the industrial licensing procedure requires that the entrepreneurs, before setting up any industry, they must obtain the clearance from all the boards, that is from the central, the state, the air and the water pollution control boards respectively. Now they recommend that the air, for example the gases, the same way the effluents in the water, they if they are emanating from the industry, then they should adhere to certain standards, and they should also be treated and then left into the water bodies. But these stipulations do not prevent the industry from affecting the total environment by wrong siting. Also, the cumulative effect of a number of industries at a particular place, it is not being studied upon, and with the result that an industry or an industrial area over a period of time can cause significant damage to the surrounding environment and the ecological features. So that way it is necessary that the industrial development projects, they have to install the suitable and proper pollution control equipments, and they also need to identify the proper sites for their location. Now what are the guidelines? So in order to help the concerned authorities and also the people who are setting up the industries, it is necessary to frame certain broad guidelines for siting an industry. It is necessary to identify the parameters that should be taken into account while setting up an industry. With this in view, the following environmental guidelines were recommended for ensuring the optimum use of the natural and man-made resources in a sustainable manner with minimal depletion, degradation and or destruction to the environment. So, which are the areas which have to be avoided? In siting industries, the care should be taken to minimize the adverse impact on the immediate neighborhood as well as the distant places. So, some of the life sustaining systems and some specific land uses are sensitive to the industrial impact because of the nature and the extent of the fragility of that system. So, with a view to protect such industrial sites, the distances shall be maintained from the areas listed. So, from these sensitive sites an area should be maintained and certain guidelines have been given. So, ecologically and or otherwise sensitive areas. So, at least 25 kilometers depending on the geoclimatic conditions, the requisite distance will have to be increased by the appropriate agency. The coastal areas at least half kilometer from the high tide line, floodplain of the riverine system at least half kilometer from the floodplain or modified floodplain affected by the dam in the upstream or by flood control system, transport communication system at least half kilometer from the highway and also from the railway. Major settlement, if there is more than 3 lakh population in an area. So, distance from the settlement it is difficult to maintain because of the urban sprawl, and at the time of siting of the industry, if any of the major settlements notified limit is within 50 kilometers, the spatial direction of growth of the settlement for at least a decade must be assessed, and then the industry shall be sited at least 25 kilometers from the projected growth boundary of that settlement. Then the prerequisite, both the state and the central government are required to identify such areas on a priority basis. Then the ecological and otherwise sensitive areas, they include religious and historic places, archaeological monuments, for example zones around the Taj Mahal, the seismic, scenic areas, then the hill resort, the beach resorts, the health resorts and also the coastal areas that are rich in coral, mangroves and the estuaries. They also include the Gulf areas, the biosphere reserves, the national parks and sanctuaries, natural lakes and swamps, seismic zones, the tribal settlements, areas of scientific, geologic interest, defense installations, border areas and also the airports. Siting criteria. So, economic and social factors are recognized and assessed while siting an industry, and the environmental factors must be taken into consideration in an industrial siting. Industries are therefore required to be sited striking a balance between economic and environmental considerations. In such a selected site, the following factors have to be recognized: that no forest land will be converted into a non-forest activity for sustenance of the industry. No prime agricultural land will be converted into an industrial site, and within the acquired site, the industry should locate itself at the lowest location to remain obscured from the general site. The land acquired, this will be sufficiently large to provide space for appropriate treatment of the wastewater, which is still left for treatment after maximum possible reuse and the recycled. In the same way, the treated water and the reclaimed wastewater, that shall be used to drain the green belt and to create the water body for aesthetics and recreation if possible, and also aquaculture can also be done. The green belt shall be half kilometer wide around the battery limit of the industry, and for the industry that has odor problem, then it will be a kilometer wide. The green belt between two adjoining large scale industries, that will be maintained as 1 kilometer. Then enough space should be provided for the storage of the solid waste so that they could be available for possible reuse. The layout and form of the industry that may come up in the area, that should conform to the landscape of the area without affecting the scenic features of that place. Then the associated township of the industry must be created at a space having physiographic barrier between the industry and the township, and each industry is required to maintain 3 ambient air quality measuring stations within a certain degree angle between the stations. Now we come to the impact prediction and the assessment. So, in order to understand the necessity of the impact prediction and assessment, we need to understand some common steps in the EIA in India. So, they include the screening and the scoping, consideration of certain alternatives, baseline data collection, impact prediction, assessment of the alternatives, and delineation of the mitigation measures and the environmental impact statement. It also includes a public hearing, environmental management plan, decision making, monitoring the clearance conditions, and all the EIA studies, they should address the guidelines published in the MOEFCC for the different sectors. Impacts that have to be assessed are the air. For in the air, the emissions are from the point, line and the air sources, they have to be addressed, and the impacts on the human health have to be evaluated. Both the ambient levels and the ground level concentrations will be taken into consideration. In the same way, the water availability to different users and whether the quality has been impacted, the study of water intrusion, the transportation of sediments to the water body, all this is to be assessed. Land and noise. Any change in the land use, land quality and drainage pattern will be assessed. Then the waste disposal and the stability of the shoreline, the river bank on the land is assessed. Noise. The effects of noise from machines and vehicles on the animals and the human population will be assessed. Biological. The impact of deforestation on animal habitat, shrinkage of flora and fauna including the aquatic organisms due to pollution is assessed. So all this, whether like for example the breeding and the nesting grounds, the migratory routes, depletion of the endangered, rare and endemic species, they have to be assessed. So the possible socio-economic impacts on the local people like changes in the population, economic status, human health and the possibility of increased traffic due to this facility is also to be assessed. Once all the baseline studies and prediction of the impacts are assessed, then the possible alternatives can be identified and the environmental attributes will be compared. After this, a mitigation plan supplemented with a proper environmental management plan is drawn up for the environmental improvement. The details of this environmental management plan should contain the details of the monitoring. So thus an EIA report will contain all the necessary information to the decision maker on the status of the environment before the project, during the project, after the project and along with the project alternatives. In order to obtain clearance from the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, the below are required. You are required to give a filled in application form with all the details that are asked there, the summary of the project, the feasibility report, an impact assessment and environmental management plan report, risk assessment and on-site emergency preparedness plan, site clearance from the agency for the site specific project that is mentioned in the EIA notification, the consent to establish the facility from the State Pollution Control Board, the clearance from the local authorities, then commitment regarding the water availability and electricity from the appropriate agencies, and if there are any hazardous substances, an approval from the Chief Controller of Explosives under the Petroleum Act and the rules for layout and storage, and an approval from the Directorate of the Industrial Safety and Health under the Factory Act and rules. This also has to be given. In a wildlife habitat or migration path which exists 25 kilometers within that project site, then the observations, comments and recommendations of the Chief Wildlife Warden is also mandatory. A summary of the rehabilitation plan in case of displacement of more than 1000 people should be given, and in case of the diversion of the forest land, a copy of the application form to the state government will be enclosed. Then if any clearance is to be required from the Airport Authority of India, that also has to be obtained. Then the advertisement copies with the public hearing notification along with the details of the procedure conducted. Then the environmental appraisal questionnaires that are issued by the ministry along with the relevant attachments, public hearing since it is going to affect all the residents in that area concerned. So because everyone is entitled to have the access and the summary of this EIA impact document. Therefore, what are the advantages of this assessment? So it is carried out before starting a project using the relevant techniques, and it can prove beneficial in many ways. First is a reduction in time and cost of the project implementation, modification in the design of the project which can cut down the cost, increased acceptability of the project, reduced impacts and concurrence with laws and guidelines, better performance of the project, avoiding unnecessary cost of the waste treatment and the cleanup. And when the locals are involved in the assessment, it gives rise to the following benefits like cleaner air, healthier environments including the water, air, forest, land, etc. The improvements in the human health, reduction in the use of natural resources, and a very important factor is the conservation of the biodiversity. Then it also increases in the community skills and knowledge. There are lesser conflicts over the use of the natural resources. Therefore, EIA must become a part of the project appraisal systems in developing countries. The Bhopal gas tragedy, which occurred in 1984 on the 3rd of December, this tragedy clearly indicates the need for a proper industrial siting procedure coordinated with a comprehensive urban planning system under the broad framework of the project evaluation, linking environmental impact assessment and the project appraisal. So, usually the developing countries do not give much importance to environmental issues due to the prevalence of the widespread poverty, overpopulation and underdevelopment. But the magnitude of the environmental degradation is high in the developing countries due to high population growth and density leads to poor drainage and sanitation, existence of the squatter settlements, poverty, unemployment and illiteracy. All this will lead into poor environmental safeguard, unavailability of the project appraisal systems. And there is improper link between the policy formulation and implementation and review. So, therefore, the focus is on the short term gains rather than sustainability. The main occupations are the agriculture, forestry and animal husbandry, which are key to environmental degradation and pollution. Therefore, siting of industries based on the availability of infrastructure rather than on suitability would work. The socio-political factors also affect the siting due to corruption, lack of skill, unplanned decisions, administrative weaknesses, lack of information, poor communication and also coordination. Traditionally, the industries were located considering the economic criteria, the cost of transportation, raw material and also the finished products, how they are going to be exported. But in recent times, the rules and regulation pertaining to the environment has forced the industries to reconsider their activities and especially the socio-cultural considerations while siting. A number of the critical questions to be addressed and they include the following: the economy environment relationship. So, this uses the natural resources like air, water and land and the waste which is going to affect the natural resources. So, we have to find out which aspect and which would be the best relationship which is possible for the facility. So, the characterization of the environment in general, characterization of the environmental components, measurement of the magnitude and intensity of the activity, quantitative and qualitative assessments and measure of the waste, assessment of impact on separate environmental media and receptors, the general characterizations of environmental quality and the assessment on the impacts of the local people. The purpose. Here again you need to cite what is the purpose of using this criterion. To answer this, find out the suitability of the location to site this facility, find out how the facility will impact the environment. The complexity. Next question to be addressed is whether only a particular environmental component is to be addressed or a holistic measure of suitability and impacts of all the components are to be considered. Spatial scale. The criterion for siting of a facility is different when moving from a higher to a lower spatial level. So, the characteristics of the environment and the type of economic activity are difficult for different geographical areas. In the same way, the temporal scale. The duration of the impacts can vary from case to case. The level of the measurement. An appropriate level of measurement such as judgmental, objective or quasi-objective is chosen to operationalize the environmental criteria. The first one relies on the expert judgment to provide scores for environmental criteria. The second employs scientific techniques to produce these scores. The third combines the first two whenever the scientific measures exist, but the analyst can use them judgmentally to produce the scores. A number of factors like independent factors, the complexity and intended purpose of the criterion, the state of the art in the relevant scientific field, availability of the data and resource, spatial and temporal level of analysis dictate the mode used. So, depending on the level of the measurement, the criteria are distinguished into nominal, ordinal, ratio and the indexes. Now, this is the multi-dimensional impacts of the project. You will see the environmental impact, the social impact, biodiversity impact and the economic impacts which are impacted by a developmental activity or by a project. So, is impact assessment necessary? So, this stems from the fact that it is helping in implementing positive and sustainable practices and incorporation of social and environmental characteristics into the decision making process is enhanced. Minimization of both environmental and social impacts either due to individual projects or the cumulative effects of many of the sub projects that take place. Human health, cultural and heritage property will be protected finally. Prediction of the impact. So, predicting the magnitude of a development, its likely impacts and evaluating their significance is core of the environmental assessment process. Prediction should be quantitative or qualitative terms based on the available environmental baseline of that project area. The considerations in the impact prediction, they include the magnitude of the impact, the extent of the impact, the duration of the impact, whether it is going to be short term, medium term or the long term. Then the significance of the impact. So, here again the specific rules and regulations, these criterions are to be followed, like the national laws, the standards, international agreements and conventions, views of the public, the degradation of sensitive ecosystems and resources, then the mitigation costs, the number of people who are affected, the cumulative impact and so on. So, dear learners and viewers, in this talk and in this lecture, we have understood the environmental siting guidelines for the industries and how the predicting and the assessment is important before the clearance is given for establishing of such industries. So, these should ascertain to the national laws, to the policies, and finally, the assessment, the environmental impact assessment before setting up such projects, before also during the project and after the project. It is basically to analyze and understand the impacts that are going to be caused to the human health, to the environmental system as a whole, and before 1986, before the Environmental Protection Act of India, we had this Bhopal gas tragedy, which was a major gas tragedy and a major industrial accident, and in this you have seen that the environmental or the human considerations were not given, and many of the people were impacted in the process, maybe even the where the industry was located and the zone, the number of people who are affected nearby, even till today you find the genetic mutations and the problems that are going on with the people after 20-30 years. So, therefore, that is why it is very important that the environment is protected as a whole, and following the Environment Protection Act and the guidelines that have been given by the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, the environmental siting guidelines are important so that the appropriate mitigation measures, preventive measures, treatment plans and strategies can also be given in the environmental management plan before embarking on such projects. Thank you for your patient listening.